So I'm excited for you to meet my guest today. I am joined by Dana Derichsweiler. She told me I only had to get that right once because she's known as Dana D. And I am thrilled to introduce you guys to Dana D. She is known as the Pie Lady of Boulder, but she is so much more than that and such an inspiring person. So let's get right down to it.
Good job on the name.
Who is Dana D?
Who is Dana D?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I'm incredibly lucky, and I'm so glad to be here. Okay, I can talk about my adjectives.
Yeah, you're a wife.
The other is a mystery.
Yeah.
I'm a restaurant owner. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm an adventurer. I'm an athlete.
Yes,
I'm
you
a
are.
risk taker. I'm an entrepreneur.
You're a puppy mom.
I am a puppy mom. I'm a godmother. Gamma.
Yes.
Yes.
You're about to be a retiree.
I can't wait.
Yes.
Michelle, you know, we've known each other some time. I have loved my career, and I still do love it. And I think that is the best time to retire. But boy, what a ride that has been.
You're also a lesbian.
Oh, yes. I forgot that. I forgot that adjective. And a lot of people, you know, they think that's the first one, right? Like lesbian, and then you're all these other things, where it's really all of these things and that. And I've also, I don't really know how people put it, whether they say recovered or recovering. I think the majority of people say recovering, but I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict.
Yeah.
For
how many years?
37 years. Yeah, long time.
So you, for your job, you own the Walnut Cafe.
Yes.
In Boulder.
Yes.
3 locations?
2 locations.
2 locations
Yeah.
now. You
COVID,
at one point had 4, right? How many was the most you ever had at once?
Well, I had a food truck for a while. So I had 3 restaurants and a food truck.
Okay.
But currently I have 2 restaurants.
Yeah.
We lost one of them, I would say, to COVID. Like, you know, something had to give.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, so you currently own the Walnut Cafe in Boulder, and you've owned that for how many years?
37.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask you how old you are?
60.
Wow.
I am 60 and I am loving it.
Yeah. And you look amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel amazing. Like, you know, when you get older and people always say, oh, your age is just a number. I celebrate my birthday like nobody's business. I am so grateful for every day. And I mean, we might as well just throw this down right here, right now. You know, I lost my brother when he was 49.
Yes.
And it was life-changing for me. And from that point forward, especially, I've always been a birthday fan. I mean, I'm a Leo, right? But from that day forward, not only did I take every single day, I lived with more gratitude. Every single birthday I celebrate, because I think we've all lost people that we care deeply about, and what he wouldn't give to be 60.
Yeah.
And so when people say, oh, I can't believe I'm having another birthday, I can't celebrate it, I'm like, you get with me. We are celebrating.
Yes.
Like, it is something to be celebrated, life and every day.
So before we get too serious, I got to know about the pants.
Oh, yeah.
I love the pants. Tell me about them.
Well, you told me to wear some of my favorite things.
Yes, I said you do you.
That's right.
Yes.
You do you. I'm getting pretty good at it.
So tell me about the pants.
Okay, can I stand up?
Okay.
Okay, we got to do this. Okay.
Yep.
Every single one of these patches is a place where I have been.
Yes.
Right? And I've got like my wife, her initial on here, Xantha Dana. And I had these polka dots done on here.
Yes.
But, you know, it's just.
So you designed those yourself?
I did.
So if somebody out there sees these pants and they're like, I want pants like that, they have to go do it themselves.
Exactly. And it's quite a project. Like,
maybe this is your retirement.
I don't know that I need to work more in my retirement. I got some hobbies and things in mind, but I don't know that although I do work on these pants just for fun. I'm not really like a craftsy kind of sewer sort of person, but with my pants, I do.
I love the pants.
I do.
Yes.
Different colors. Like, that's just a purple t-shirt. Like, you know.
I mean, they're just fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to talk about the moments maybe there have been more. I know you've told me there have been more than one, but I want to talk about the moments where you were at your lowest point. You know, I think we've all had those moments. And if somebody out there hasn't had one of those moments, then they probably just haven't been there yet. When you're at that lowest moment, when life has kicked you in the teeth and knocked you in the deepest ditch that you ever saw, and in that moment, you can't see the way forward. You can't see tomorrow. You may not be able to see the next minute. Have you had some of those moments?
I have.
Tell me about the first one.
When I was young, I had a terrific family and, just regular. In fact, I was born here in Texas. I've always been kind of a all-in girl. I do everything to the limit. Like I'm all in. And because of that, I became quite an athlete, like in high school. And
did you go to high school in Texas?
No, I went to high school in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then I went on a full ride scholarship to Colorado State University in track. And I became injured. And at that point, like I had already kind of, I already knew that alcohol for me, like because I'm all or nothing, like that was not going to work. And because of my athletic career, I could abstain pretty easily. But when I got injured and there was nothing to keep me or to hold me back, I went all in. And as a young person and as a young athlete, that becomes your identity. Like I couldn't really, during high school and everything, I couldn't go anywhere where it wasn't like, oh, how was your meet? How was running? How was this? Like that becomes kind of who you are. And back in the day, right? They didn't really, when you were injured, they didn't really say, oh, maybe we should talk about that. Or that's been a really big part of your life. Maybe, we should look at that. And so I turned to alcohol. And through alcohol also, I think I was drinking at two things. My identity, the loss of that career, and as a young adult, discovering that I was a lesbian. I mean, I didn't know exactly. I mean, this, there was no Ellen DeGeneres, there was no Katie Lang, even Martina wasn't out. I mean, it was 1984.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have those role models to be like, this will be okay. There was no one. So I definitely drank at those two things. And so my lowest point was not caring about me. I gave up on me.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, they thought I may have a problem. They noticed my drinking and said, can you just not drink this weekend? And I noticed that I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that I had a problem.
Was it just alcohol?
Drugs?
Drugs?
Oh, no, it was the 80s, Michelle. No, I mean, I would say that Coke really brought me to my knees. Yeah. I mean, that it's expensive and, oh, girl, I got some stories. Like, yeah, it brought me to my knees fast because you can't do that, for a long time. And I finally got to that place where I absolutely didn't care. And I had to ask for help.
So think back to that moment where you were in the lowest ditch you ever were in. Describe that moment for me.
I had been kicked out of my sorority, which was a great place to be if you like to party and you like women, right? So I was kicked out of there. I think I held the record for going before a judiciary board just for being a drunk. So I'm living in a home. I had been out that night. I wake up. I roll over. I don't really know. I was a blackout drinker, so I'm not really sure what I did last night, who I was with. I was at a place where I didn't care if I lived or died. I was at a place where I didn't matter. And if I was going to get out of bed, I was going to have to ask for help. I did not know how to move forward.
Yeah. So when you say you didn't know how to move forward, like what did that feel like internally? Did it feel hopeless? Did it feel empty, blank? I don't want to give
Yeah.
you the adjective.
It felt,
how did that feel in that moment?
dead. It felt dead. It felt like either that was when I chose life.
Yeah.
I had to make a decision that either my life changed or my life was over.
Yeah. And how old were you?
20.
Yeah. Was that your turning point, or was your turning point somewhere else?
No, I think my real turning point was having to ask for help.
Yeah.
Back in the day, right? I had heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. In my sorority, they had suggested that I get some alcohol counseling, but I had heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I look it up, because we had to look that up.
Yeah, we didn't have the internet back then.
This is what I did. I called thinking that they would probably be closed. I waited until that evening, and that I would just get some tidbits or something, an answering machine or something. And here's the thing, they never close. And so when you call, you actually
answer, get
a person. And
what did you say when they answered?
I said, I think I have a problem. Oh, you think? And I talked to this person, and they knew my story. Their story was my story. And they suggested that I go to a meeting. Oh, you're going to love this girl. I have to tell you this. So the very next day, this woman says, I will pick you up. I will take you to a meeting. Can you not drink till then? And I thought, well, maybe. So she picks me up. We go to this meeting.
Did you make it till then, not drinking?
I did.
Okay.
She picks me up. She takes me to this meeting. This was in Fort Collins, Colorado, right? Colorado State University. And so I go in. I am the youngest person. It was almost all males. Everyone is smoking. This was 85 at that point. So I go in, and all of these people, you say your name and everything, and they say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and everybody's like, hi, Michelle. And then they gave their sobriety date, the year. And I listened for a minute. I mean, I hadn't seen any movies or anything where there was AA. I listened for a minute, and I raised my hand. I'm less than 24 hours sober. I raise my hand, and they say yes. And I said, I just have a question. They're like, who are you? And I'm like, my name is Dana. Hi, Dana. And I said, I just have a question. So are you saying that you are not going to drink or drug for the rest of your lives? Is that what's going on here? And it got kind of quiet, and someone finally said, well, we like to think of it as one day at a time. And I stood up, and I said, if you think that I am not going to drink or drug for the rest of my life, you are crazier than I am. And I walked out the door. That was my start to a 12-step program.
Yeah.
It changed my life, and I got it.
Right. So you walk out the door, and you're like, nah, no way. Not happening.
That is, and plus I thought they were lying.
Yeah.
I thought for sure they must drink on vacation or something, right? But,
and so did you go drink?
What I did was, no. I walked to an end of a sidewalk, and that same woman that took me to the meeting, she walked out of the meeting, followed me, walked to the end of that sidewalk with me. It's a little curb. And she just stopped there and stood next to me. And she said, don't jump. And that was so...
off the curb?
Just don't jump.
Yeah.
So it was so meaningful to me at that time because for me, it was like I had to choose life. And so being the risk taker, the person that was really my identity, at that moment, I said to myself, I will give this a chance. I am going to try this. And I would tell everybody in all those meetings, I am going to try this for 1 year, period. If my life is not significantly better after 1 year, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I was able to take that chunk of time and do a year.
So how in that moment, when she's standing there next to you saying, don't jump, what was it that made you decide to choose yourself, to choose to live?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, I would love to give you the answer.
Yeah.
But I think that it was.
Did the lady give you hope?
Well, everyone gave me hope, of course. But I think when you are in that moment, you have to, and I did, there's like a shred, there's like a sliver that you matter and that you're enough. And maybe if it worked for all of these people, it will work for me. But it has to come from deep within, that maybe.
Right.
And that's all it takes, is just that one little spark. It felt like the light had just been snuffed out, but there was still that little tiny bit. And if I could recognize that, I could get there.
Yeah. At that point, were you out with your sexuality?
Oh, no. I had to do all that. I had to meet my parents and say, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a lesbian. No, I was not.
Yeah.
But
were you dating men?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I would say most of the any encounter that I had with women was when I was drinking, But I dated some great, guys. But it was always women who, it's who makes your heart flutter, right? I mean, where that connection is. And
when did you first know that women made your heart flutter?
It's hard to tell, right? But I know that this happened. I had a friend in high school who read these Harlequin romance, like beach novels or something. And occasionally she would give me one to read. And I always fell in love with a woman. Like I would be reading them and, you're supposed to fall in love with the chiseled jaw and whatever. But no, I was more about, the
description
woman
of
with
the woman.
Oh, yeah. But I didn't really realize it until, I discovered who I was and that was okay.
Was that through your sobriety that you were exploring who you were?
Absolutely. Well, I could not get sober without coming out. I could not do it. That was going to be impossible. I had to be myself. I had to learn to love myself. And that meant every single beautiful part that was me, and when I came out to my parents, I mean, it was a hard thing. My folks were very Catholic and very kind of Southern and conservative to a degree.
And what year was this?
1984.
Okay.
And everything happened in 84. I owned the 80s. But I always tell people that once you're out to your mama, you can come out to anybody. So it was very, very hard, very difficult. But also, you don't really realize those moments, right? When, like, coming out for me, that was like throwing the rock into the pond and all of the ripples that happen, right? I had no idea at the time. Like, I always think when something really bad happens or something, amazing happens, like something really bad happens, and people are like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. That must be so challenging. And it's kind of like, well, let's wait and see.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see, because so many things happen that seem to be that turn out to be one of the most amazing things ever. I have had so many young people come out at the Walnut Cafe because they bring their parents there and they're comfortable there and they know me. And I've had phone calls from parents, I've had letters, I've had cards, and they say, thank you for being who you are. My son brought me there and came out because he said, that woman that you really love at the restaurant? Well, she's gay. She's this, she's that. I mean, that we never know the difference that we can make by being who we are. Authentic. And so true to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were at that low moment, you were drunk and high or whatever. And you realized that you kind of felt this dead inside. I mean, in that moment, did you realize that you were a lesbian? Or was that before?
Was that self-actualized? Yes, it was. Okay. I knew I was.
Yeah.
That was a part of what I was drinking at. I mean, that wasn't what you were supposed to be. That everyone else's judgment of who I was.
Right.
I judged myself. I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't, why am I not like normal, right? But once I took that chance on me, you start a journey where you discover, wow, you're the most amazing you can be.
Yes.
Like once you get there, I mean, that is a love. That's a lifetime of love.
Yes. So where were you when you came out to your mother?
In a little cafe, like a breakfast joint in Castle Rock with my mom and my dad. And we had a lot of alcoholism in our family. And her father was an alcoholic. And that was hard for me, probably, to tell her that I was an alcoholic. I mean, I don't know which one was worse, but I also came out to our family priest before I came out, to my mom, to make sure that she would be okay.
Yeah.
The very, really first person I came out to was a Catholic priest.
Why did you pick him?
I knew that it would be something, the religion piece would be difficult for my parents. And so I made an appointment with our family priest. And of course, I hadn't been practicing Catholicism since I went away to school. But I told him that I was going to come out to my parents and that I wanted to know if he would be there for them and what kind of stand did the Catholic Church take on homosexuality.
What did he tell you?
He said what they all say, right? Hate the sin, love the sinner. But he said, we're all God's children. We're all loved, the things that they say. But that gave me confidence, I think, to do that. And
that he at some level, even if he didn't agree with the lifestyle, he accepted you as a human.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, and the Catholic Church, I mean, it's so different now than it was, 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I think we were all learning.
Right.
I think he was learning in that moment. He was probably someplace telling some story about, this young person came to me and said they were going to tell her parents. So, I had to think, well, how am I going to be there? But
so set the stage at the little cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Did you invite them to lunch? Did they know that
Oh,
they
no.
were coming to have a chat?
We met kind of in between,
Okay.
Fort Collins and Pueblo. That was where my folks lived. And they were brokenhearted.
Did they know they were coming for such a serious moment?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, they just thought they were meeting you for breakfast?
Actually, I was very excited. I was excited to tell them, that I had discovered that I was an alcoholic, because it meant that I was on the other side of
right. You had an answer.
Yeah, oh, I've got a plan. I can get past this. And, but for them to be for me to identify as an alcoholic is oh no, but I was the same person. Now I just had a way forward.
Right.
Right. And the same thing with being a lesbian, for me to be oh, that's it,
Yeah.
but no,
So what did you say to your mother?
I mean, I just straight up told her that I'm an alcoholic. And she said, oh, I know alcoholics. She said, my daddy was I know alcoholics. So for her to now see me as that, she's thinking, oh, she's going to be all these horrible things that alcoholics are, as opposed to, oh, she recognizes that. And now she's going to be all these amazing things. The same with my sexuality. At that point, they could hardly even, it was just whoosh,
Yeah.
They could hardly even deal with that. But later, I think it was a few weeks later, my dad said to me, which to this day gives me so much strength and confidence and joy. They have both passed. But he said, of all of my children, I have a younger sister, at the time 2 younger brothers. If one of them was going to be gay, I'm glad that it's you, because you're strong enough. You're strong enough to be who you are. And wow, that was just, I took that and I used it. I am strong enough.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with my mom. One of the things I'm reminded of all the time, and I use to my strength, is she used to tell me, Dana, you can do anything. And I believe it. I still believe it. I can hear her voice when things are challenging for me, when things are happening.
Did they accept you as a lesbian in that moment, or
Nope.
did it take them some time?
It took them some time.
What was that
my
like
mom
for
didn't
you?
want to hear the words. She didn't want to hear the word lesbian. She didn't want to hear the word homosexual. I think it was them. I would say, within a year, they were, more comfortable. Within a couple of years, I think they were really acknowledging it, girlfriends or partners. And towards the end of their life, I think it was probably, they were proud, of really who I was. And the relationships that I had and the love that I shared. I got married to Xantha, my partner, and we actually got married, quite a few times.
Right.
Every time that it was sort of legalized someplace, we would, get married. We happened to be in Orange County in California when they legalized it, and so we got married.
Was that your first
there.
marriage?
No.
Was that your first wedding to Xantha? Was that the first time y'all got married?
No, the first was, we had a ceremony, a white party, about 250 people. Oh, so beautiful, so gorgeous. My parents were there. They actually walked me down to there was this platform over Boulder Creek. And I can remember my dad, though, saying, I had a talk with my Lord. And I said to him, I've never seen 2 people more in love. And that can't be wrong. And so he gave us, his blessing.
Yes.
And how can love
Be wrong.
Be wrong. And so, yeah, that was our big ceremony,
So what
but
was
there
the
was
day of
no
that?
legality
Yeah.
there.
When was that?
That was August 27th, 2006. Yes.
In Colorado.
In Colorado.
Not legal.
No.
Just
Yeah.
decided to have your ceremony and commit to each other.
Our friend that did the ceremonies, I think he ended it with no power invested in me. You know. So,
but then how many times have y'all been married since then?
Okay, we got married, our ceremony.
Yeah.
We got married in Orange County, happened to be there, and then that was thrown out of the courts. We were in New York when they legalized it, and we got married. I remember them asking, well, are you legally married in any other state? And we were like, not that we know of. It's in the courts, right? You probably know the term for it all and everything that got thrown out. But anyway, so then we got married at Burning Man. Amazing. Of course, you know, I've been there. I rode my bike to Burning Man from Boulder, which was an adventure. And then we got married in Boulder when it was legal. Like finally.
Yes.
And this was amazing because, you know, we were right on that edge because we kept following. And on our on our marriage certificate, one of us had to sign to be the groom and one of us had to sign to be the bride.
And they hadn't changed
that's
the
historical.
Yeah.
They said if they thought that if they changed it, that it wouldn't be legal because it had to be on that document. On that
So how did y'all
certificate.
decide who signed which one?
Xantha decided she wanted to be the groom because she always wanted to marry a woman. So that was it.
That's beautiful.
Yep. And I'd marry her again.
Yeah?
You bet.
Yes.
Yes.
So, okay. So we talked about your sobriety moment.
Yes.
Have you had other moments when you felt you were in that ditch?
Oh, well, I've learned a lot. So I know about that ditch now and
You know to look out for.
Oh, yes. And well, one of the greatest challenges I've had most lately was COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we had 3 restaurants when that day in March hit, and I had to make a decision. Like, we were deciding whether or not we would shut down even before they made us shut down. We had an all-staff meeting, and there were, 100 employees, and Xantha and I are talking to them about, what might happen, and they were young people. They had questions. Those low moments I can now recognize and look at, okay, what am I throwing at this, right? And if I stop and I'm patient and I pay attention, then I can recognize what's coming. That has been one of my greatest gifts in sobriety, is being able to just stop, be in the moment, pay attention. Like, what is happening here? And how do I move forward? What is the next right thing?
Yes.
I live by that. What is the next right thing? Yeah, so that was...
So March 17th of 2020 was the shutdown?
Mm-hmm.
And your restaurant's completely shut down?
Yes. Yeah.
Your employees are out of work?
All of them.
What did you do? What was the next right thing from there?
I talked with... I recognized this was happening. I talked with Xantha and I said to her, you know what? This is it. Like, we were planning on retiring in that year. And I was like, no way. It was like being a player in a game and you say, throw me the ball. It's the last shot. I want it. Like, this is a time for leaders to lead. We have to. We are the decision makers and we have to do this. And I remember saying to her, we are going to look back on this moment and it will be like, who were you when this pandemic hit? What did you do? What were your actions? And so we planned it. I can remember this, sitting at the dining room table. We were sitting on about $45,000 worth of inventory, and we came up with a plan with the kitchen managers of how to distribute that food to our employees. We made hot meals. We did family style meals. We would just have the long counter full of like produce and eggs and cheese, and they would just come in and shop basically. And then boy, I have given and given and given and given. When you're a restaurant, like, where do you go when you have a fundraiser? Where do you go when you need something? I have never said no to a school. Like, can you give a gift certificate? We're having this raffle.
Right.
We're doing, can you provide food for this? Can you do that? And so I felt like, boy, the karma train just like came full circle, because we were devastated, and I knew that our employees were going to need a lot of help. And Xantha and I did a little video and just said, so many people came to us and said, how can we help? How can we help?
Right.
How can we help? And we said, you can send money. Like, we are not doing a GoFundMe. Like that, some of that money goes to them. You know us. You trust us. We've been here. If you want to help, everything that we get, we're going to use to help our employees. And we held like office hours at the restaurant, and people came in with a pile of bills and said, this is due at this time, this is due at this time. And, there wasn't any help at that point, like the PPP or any of that stuff. And so we just kept everyone afloat. There was a lot of times you'll hear, the restaurant is like family, the Walnut family. But we really had a family, a big one.
Yeah.
And we took care of them. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm so proud of the relationships that we had with the community, that they were able to give to us, to give back to us. It was amazing. I couldn't believe the outpouring of love. It was an outpouring of love. We just got showered. It was so good.
When did things start turning around for your restaurant?
Well, they're still turning around. Boulder has had one of the longest mask mandates, and so they're still turning around. But we feel like we've had to like blow people out of their houses. People got really comfortable, and once we could reopen, we did, which was like 2 months after the shutdown. But there were so many restrictions, and the distance, and everybody wearing masks and having to be careful. Yeah. And so I think we're still turning around, but I am so hopeful. It's so great to see people out of mask, to see people gathering again. I think that we're, really getting in front of this. It feels a lot brighter. I can't help but think we just recently reopened that King Soopers, and that was such a thoughtful, beautiful ceremony. Mm-hmm. And
so, just for those who don't know, the King Soopers is the grocery store in Boulder. Yes. Where there was the mass shooting.
Yes.
Okay.
We were
so it was right closed around for a while.
It's been closed about a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were right around the corner from that shooting, and for Boulder, for the community, for all of us, it was heartbreaking. Like, heartbreaking. Like, you've got COVID,
right,
and then you have this happening, right? But when you talk about the moments, like, when that for me felt like it was turning around. It didn't have anything to do with the restaurants. Right. It had to do with my community.
Yes.
And they did such a thoughtful, beautiful reopening, like almost a reclaiming of that store, that it felt like at that time, like, boy, everything's getting better. Everything's getting brighter. Everything is looking up.
So what year did you start the restaurant?
1985.
What made you decide to start the Walnut Cafe?
Oh, that's funny. The short answer here is when people ask me how I got in the restaurant business is I say, I'm bossy. And in a good way, though, I think it's really important to recognize your skill set, right? And it seemed like when I was an employee, whatever I was doing, I had ideas about how I might do it differently if I was like the one tier up. And so really to make it in the restaurant business, as a small business, you need to be owner, operator. I can remember working in a little restaurant and thinking, I would see people stealing food, servers, line cooks, all that. And I would think, if I owned the restaurant, I would have people eat for free. Like people, they wouldn't be taking food and doing all that nonsense if you just fed them.
Yeah.
So there were all these little things that I would think if I owned the restaurant. So it's probably better that you get yourself in that place, if you are that way.
Right.
And it has been the greatest part of being in the industry has been the people.
Yeah.
Not just the customers, but, every employee. And so I always tell people, I'm in the people business. The product is food, right? And it better be good. That's just a given. But I am really in the people business and I love it. Had I not come out, I would have been a teacher and a coach. But at that time, it wasn't happening. You couldn't be out and be a teacher. Yeah. Not really.
Right.
And I look at what I've created or my life now, and I ended up being a teacher and a coach. It's a different
platform.
It's a different place, but
yeah.
I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, and it's been amazing.
And so you are selling the restaurant now.
I am.
Selling it to some of your employees.
Yes, I am.
I think that's fantastic.
Yep. Giving them a deal, and it'll just be Walnut Cafe 2.0.
Yes.
And I love that they have worked with me for some time and they recognize the culture. We are really about acceptance and love and kindness. We have these shirts that say "Eat kindness for breakfast," and they really get the culture. So I guess I'm proud that it will continue, like that.
Yes.
And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what they do. Of course they're going to put their own spin on it,
sure,
and their own thing. But
okay, so I want to talk about your brother.
Okay. Is this why they said, give me some Kleenex?
So let's talk about all of your siblings, and then we'll focus on your brother. So
awesome.
Your sister is...
I adore her.
Mm-hmm. What's her name?
She's Gina.
Yeah.
We all have 4-letter names because our last name is so long. So she's a realtor. She looks a lot like me, and I always say my sister is like me in realtor drag. Because, but no.
And then your brother, the other brother?
Kirk was my sibling who has passed. We were 13 months apart. And
tell me about your other brother before we talk about
my younger brother, Eric. He is a go-getter. He retired when he was 50, which is amazing.
Amazing.
And really sweet guy. And he is living his life doing what he wants.
Yeah. So tell me about Kirk.
We grew up together really close. 13 months apart. We did everything together. And when he was 21, they discovered that he had a kidney failure. And at that time, he received a donor transplant. And it was really, really difficult surgery. He had to have a few surgeries. They about cut him in half. It was a terrible, awful thing to go through, but it worked. He had to be on, a lot of drugs and things when that happens, but it worked. And at the time I was tested, and there was this really incredibly smart surgeon, this woman, and I could have donated to him at that time a kidney. And I will never, ever forget, she said, nope, you're going to be his ace in the hole. And it just registered. And so his kidney lasted for almost 18 years and failed. And at that time, he was older, sicker. He'd already had a kidney. And so you go to the bottom of the list. And I knew immediately, ace in the hole.
Yes.
And so I was able to donate a kidney to him. He had to go out back on dialysis, but just for a short time. Dialysis is such a horrible way to live. Beautiful because it saves your life,
Right.
but it's just that. It's
tough.
life-saving. It is a hard way to live. And
When was the surgery when you donated to him?
February 17th, 2006. And this is why you gave me that Kleenex, girl. One of the most beautiful days of my life. One of the hardest and one of the most beautiful. You cannot describe the connection that you have with someone when you get to save their life. It's like, it's not an immediate thing. It's a thoughtful thing. It's not like I pushed you out of front of a car. It's like, let's talk about this. This is going to happen. And so beautiful. When the surgery, after the surgery happened, it started working immediately. We were a 4-point match on the 4 points that they do. It's like having the twins, And they wheeled me down to his room. Everyone left the room. It was just the two of us in there. And we never said a word for, I don't even know how many minutes. And I've never felt so much gratitude and just the pureness of that love in that moment. It was amazing. Yeah, it was life-changing.
Yeah. So tell what happened with your brother.
Okay. Well, it was so amazing. It started working immediately. It was so great. We recovered together. Xantha took us back up to Boulder, and she took care of us, and he lived for 5 more years, and it was amazing. Like he said he never knew he could feel so good. Like the kidney was such a great match that he was able to be on much less of the anti-rejection drugs. I used to just kid him and tease him that he not only got my kidney, but he got my DNA because he started cycling, he was doing all these things, and it was just great. It was just wonderful. And he got cancer, and, cancer took his life. I mean, it was spreading quickly when they found it. And cancer took it. And
what kind of cancer did he get?
It started in his liver, and they tried to get it, but could not really. And then moved to his blood, we believe, like he had a blood disease happening. And it was a really, really such a hard time. I knew him, and I was so connected that, we basically had to make a decision. They said they could keep him in the hospital, and his kidney would fail. He would have to go back on dialysis, and that he might not leave the hospital. And I really knew that, we had talked and he did not want to live like that.
Yeah.
And I was with him when he passed, and that was another beautiful moment. Challenging, yes, whenever that happens, but.
Did you feel in that moment that part of being human, part of the human experience includes being there when your loved one passes through to whatever is on the other side?
It's a gift. If you can be there, it's a gift. How can we be sad about that when we believe, in a better place, right? Or heaven, or whatever your religion is. Mine is love.
I want to get to that.
But, he was going to be out of pain. We were, it's probably for another episode, but I am telling you, I had a real spiritual experience. And I know that is such a gift. He gave me that, to be there with him. He absolutely gave that to me. And I know that there is more. Like this little spot of time that we are here in this physical presence, our spiritual being having a human experience is just a spot of time. And he's with me always.
So you mentioned love is your religion.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you came to that.
Well, I'm, through the program of recovery where I discovered really love. I am a very spiritual person. And, I grew up with religious background, obviously. In Catholicism, Jesus, Jesus Christ. And I always say, Jesus is just all right with me. I'm a believer in the sense of that is someone I would like to sit here on the couch and have a conversation with. Now, he might have something.
You think you could get him booked on my show?
I think he might have something to say about what we've done with his religion.
Yes.
Like, I always think if people were more Christ-like, how awesome would that be? But it's the only thing that I could settle on, that I could really get behind, right? Love, kindness. Like I am a real kindness crusader. Those moments are why we're here, what we live for. Once you know that you're enough, everything else, like just who you are and how you act and your actions and the decisions you make and recognizing the choices, and such a amazing, beautiful journey when you can stay present and pay attention. And love gives me that. Love gives me, it lets me recognize the pink orchids behind you in this beautiful set and everything.
Yes.
If I can be attentive, it's everywhere.
And do you feel that is the root of what we call religion or God or Jesus or whatever we believe him to be?
Absolutely.
Or she.
Absolutely. You can substitute love for God everywhere, right? I have this thought of the drop of water in the ocean. Like, I am love. All that I am is love. The same for you. And so when people say, if I can recognize the God in you, if I can recognize the love in you, right? Our our God and all of that can seem so different. But love is something we can all relate to. We know a sense of that. Like your love is probably the same as my love. Our gods may be different, when you look at religions. But no, I think that is the one truth that the one
constant.
We all experience. We all do.
So if you were going to speak to that young woman in 1984 who was laying in that bed and felt dead, couldn't see tomorrow, and she couldn't see the path in front of her that you have been able to lay, what are the 3 pieces of advice you would give her?
Wow. When you put it like that young woman laying in that bed, girl.
Well, but I mean, isn't that the point that
it is?
There is somebody out there, Dana, you know this.
Yeah.
There is some young woman, young man out there who is having the experience you've had, who is in the ditch, in their lowest moment, and they can't see 2 feet in front of their face, and they think they're alone.
Yep.
They think that is the loneliest moment they've ever had and that nobody has ever experienced that before. What can you tell them to give them that hope? What have you learned?
Wow. I would think I would have a really different answer to this, but the way that you just posed that, I would tell her, you deserve it all. Get up. I would be taking my own advice now. Like, I am such a doer and action oriented. And I would say, you may not know it now, but you deserve this. Like, get up. Like, that would be my first thing. Like, and do the next right thing. And I was able to do that with that phone call.
Yes.
And then I would just be like, girl, you need to hold on and buckle up because it is going to be amazing. This ride is going to be amazing. You have no idea. No idea. But I think in those places, we have to start. We have to start. So I would say, give yourself that maybe. Like, maybe this will work for you. And that's enough. That's enough. Like that year that I was just like, 1 year out.
Yeah.
After 1 year, I absolutely would say that. And in the longer term, after I got that girl up and dressed and out, I think I would tell her to learn to pay attention. You're going to need to learn to be attentive, like to what the moment is, to pay attention. I think I would tell her to recognize the choices. Like, you're going to have to just recognize those forks in the road, right? I have this, I would say every day almost I tell someone this, especially mentoring with my employees and all. There's something from the Book of Runes. For more than we are doers, we are decision makers. Once the decision is made, the doing becomes effortless. And there are so many decisions to be made. So recognize it's okay to just stop and be like, okay, which way am I going? And it's okay to go the wrong way and then decide to go the other way. But to recognize those, I would tell her to, pay attention and be yourself. Wear your patch jeans, design your own clothes, I've had my hair a million different ways. Be who you are, because you're enough. You're awesome. There's nobody who's going to do you better than you. Like, be you. Like,
I love that.
do it. Like,
I love that.
there is, when someone is just really who they are, you recognize that. That is so beautiful. That is so confident. That is so who we love, who we fall in love with. And yeah, be that. Be you.
I love it. All right. Now we get to have a little fun.
Let's do it.
This is my ball I found on Amazon. So I'm going to toss it to you, and you're going to catch it really good because you're an athlete.
There you go.
And wherever your thumb lands, you have to answer that question.
Got it.
And then you can throw it back to me, and I'll answer one. Okay? Are you ready?
What about 2 thumbs?
Well, you can pick.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go, girl.
All right.
Okay. Most memorable moment. I'm going to have to go with that moment in the hospital, girl.
Yeah.
Wheeled in there to my brother.
Yeah.
It's ingrained.
And it didn't even have words.
No. Didn't even
Just
have
the
words.
power between y'all.
It was. You
All right.
ready?
I'm ready. All right. Well, I already answered that one. Least favorite mode of transportation. I don't know that I've had every mode of transportation. I would have to say probably a bus. And I'll tell you why. When we were in Africa, we were riding on a bus from this restaurant we were staying at until our plane left. And we were riding on the bus back to the airport. And it was crowded. We were in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Africa, and it was so crowded. And of course, in Dar es Salaam, they don't have 7-Elevens, and they don't have secret antiperspirant, and they don't have all the modern things that we have.
I know. I've been there.
Things didn't smell exactly the way that we would have wanted them to. And I just remember there being such a sea of humanity that rode the buses. And it was an uncomfortable place for me, but it was also a place of growth, right? Because, in that moment, I'm experiencing humans, people, in a very raw sense, and realizing that, you know what? That's okay too. So...
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Your turn.
Someone you'd like to dine with or meet.
That's a good one.
It really is. Boy, there's so many. And I'm not a super groupie. Like I'm not like a super fan of many people, but there is someone who I just love, and so I would like to. Mr. Rogers.
Oh, that would be
love
great.
Him.
Yes.
I know.
That's so you, though.
I would just
the love of that is you.
Yeah, I just love him. I love to meet with Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You ready?
My turn. You have to throw gentle for me. Well, all right. You just answered that one. A new skill you'd like to have with no effort.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
I mean, if it was no effort, I would like to be a runner.
Ooh.
I would like to be an athlete. Yeah. So one part of my story is a weight loss story that I lost over 200 pounds. And in that, as I ended toward the journey of that loss, I decided I wanted to be an athlete. I'd never in my life been an athlete. I was never encouraged as a young person to be an athlete. And so I decided to be an athlete. And I remember my trainer looked at me and he was like, girl, you're crazy. Because I had never run a minute in my life. I had never run to the elevator. And I decided to start running. And it was a lot of effort.
Yeah.
I ended up running a half marathon. Running in a very loose terminology. We'll put air quotes around the running because it was more like trotting.
That's running.
And in some parts of it walking, and at some points in that half marathon I felt like crawling. But I think if I could have a skill with no effort, it would be running, because I felt so free whenever I was doing that. Yeah. All right, one more.
Running, that was my jam back in the day.
I know.
A sound that you love.
Oh,
wow. Oh, I know this. I was just telling someone this. That is so funny. I get to hike frequently in the winter and in the snow, we're in Boulder, Colorado. One of my favorite things is to hike. I'll get up in the mountains. I lay down in the snow and I listen. It sounds like a song, to the sound of the silence. It is amazing. Like you can hear your heartbeat. You can hear,
because it's not really silent.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so silent, but you can hear like maybe just the snow dropping from a tree branch. Or I guess what I love about it is that it puts me really in the moment.
Yeah.
Just so in the moment. Every breath, every tiny little sound. I love that sound.
Just the vibration of the earth almost.
Yes. It's very grounding. It's very Boulder.
I
It's
love
very
that.
grounding. Every person who hikes with me, I generally make them.
Do that.
I'm like, come on, this is when we lay down in the snow and we listen to the sounds of silence. Ready?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Last one. A major decision.
Wow.
Goodness.
Oh.
Well, I would say one of the major decisions was to have this show
Yes.
and to tell the stories of my friends who are real people that have made an impact on me. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been amazing to tell your story. Here we go. This has been Dana D. She told me I didn't have to say her name again because I might mess it up. Derichsweiler. How's that? So I hope you have enjoyed meeting my friend Dana D. I want you to take away from her the thing that I learned from her and that has been so meaningful to me personally. And that is that basically it's all about love. Whatever the differences are that we have with each other, with other cultures, other religions, other sexualities, other whatever, we are all the same at one basic point, and that is the love. We all have love, we all share love, and we all give love. And Dana has been an amazing inspiration to me personally whenever she told me many years ago that love was her religion. That really gave me a new perspective on the commonality that we all share, even when we're all different. So I hope that you have enjoyed meeting my friend Dana D. And I appreciate you all being here on this journey with me. So until next time, I'm Michelle O'Neill. See you later.